everyone. It gives me an immense sense of satisfaction to introduce my new series to you, which is called Eye to Eye, which is impossible to inexorable, which is also the title of my upcoming book. In this series, we'll meet entrepreneurs who have started their journey from scratch. We'll learn how they have started from zero and how they have reached one. We'll learn about their struggles. Now, India, as you know, is a land of opportunities, especially in the field of startups. And when we meet different sets of people, everyone has an idea. They want to do something in the field of startup, but they are sometimes lost in their journey. This series will help everyone learn how do we start a business from scratch, what are the difficulties they face, and what are the lessons they need to keep in mind while starting a business. So in this 5-episode series, you will meet diverse set of people with diverse set of challenges and diverse set of successes. So we will start with the first episode with our entrepreneur, Dr. Zeenal Unadkat Shah. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, welcome to our first episode of Eye to Eye. Today with me, I have world famous pediatrician and lactation consultant, Dr. Zeenal Unadkat Shah. Welcome Dr. Zeenal to our show.
Thank you Neeraj, thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here and talk to all of you in this show of Eye to Eye.
So Dr. Zeenal Unadkat Shah from the field of medicine has now ventured into the field of business. And as we know, in India, the startup scene is booming and the struggles what people face, ground level and higher ups. She will tell us all about it, what are the challenges she faced, because from the field of medicine to the field of business, it was a completely new transition for her. So we will learn from her what are the things we need to keep in mind while starting a business and some of the lessons in retrospect that she would have done better. So let's get started. So Dr. Zeenal, we see you have started a company called Triaco. Okay, so I'm holding a bottle of Triaco, and from the field of medicine to this field of business. So which was the pivot point, or when did you feel that you need to venture into such a business?
So being a doctor, I think everybody knows that doctors have a very hectic lifestyle. We don't have timings. So last 20 years, I've just been, working day and night, moving from hospital to hospital, and I realized that my health was going for a toss. At a very young age, I developed very high blood pressure. And that was like a little thought process for me. I gained weight and I developed some metabolic issues. That being a doctor also, I am not healthy. And that was the thing which hit me the most, that, I tell everybody, my advice to people is, okay, you eat healthy, you do things which is good, but I myself don't look healthy. And that was the turning point when I started talking to my friends who were nutritionists, doing a lot of research. I did course of Stanford University of Living Without Medicine, and that is when I realized that the health is the most important thing. And there's a very beautiful saying which that health is wealth. And I said I want to do something to change people's health. So this initiative started when I realized that the biggest culprit in our kitchen is our oils. So being a woman, we all know we keep experimenting and trying different stuff. So eating refined food, especially when you eat refined maida, when you eat refined breads, when you're eating refined sugars and refined oils. Now in India, still the awareness of refined oils is not there because marketing has taken it over so much that the kind of oils we are eating are full of chemicals, they contain hexane, then they go through a process of bleach and degumming. So we are actually eating chemicals. The nutrient value of that particular seed, like suppose for example, you are holding sesame oil. So sesame is nothing but white till. So the properties of till is lost because of the processing which goes through. So that is when I realized that this is something which people are not aware of. So we did a survey, and in that survey I came to know that 65% of people are not even aware of what cold pressed oil is, and they can be used for cooking. People only think that cold pressed oils should be used for maybe massage or just used for hair, but people never thought that cold pressed oils can be used for cooking purposes also.
Okay, so like a layman, I used to think refined oil is a good oil. But lately I've come to know the word refined does not actually mean positive. It means something negative. So can you shed more light on refined versus something that is not refined?
Now, simple thing, I think our ancestors used to live in places where they had their own trees, they used to pluck their own bhindis or own papitas and eat it, right? So there's a lot of thing about having organic. I think a lot of people after this COVID pandemic also have realized that health is the most important thing which we should focus on. And the kind of food we eat, the more refined it is, the more processed it is, the more bad it is for your health, which can clog your arteries, which can make you get lifestyle diseases like diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and also induce a lot of sluggishness in us. Their activity levels, like how our ancestors used to work in the farms and they never got tired, and we get tired even if we go out for some days. So oil is, and we Indians love food, right? So let's admit it, we all love food. We love samosas, vadas, we love to indulge. So if we want to eat food and we don't want to feel guilty, the most important ingredient, what I have realized, is the oil. Because anything you cook, we want, in our vegetables also, we want the oil to be seen. We want our food also to be fried. So if you compare, the refined versus non-refined, so the non-refined doesn't contain trans fats. Cold pressed oil is free of trans fat. So there is something which is called as trans fat, which is the worst fat, which causes, that's why you see in India, the number of people having blood pressure or having heart diseases and undergoing angiographies is so high. Because we all eat trans fat. We eat palm oil and refined oil, which is nothing but only trans fat. So the main difference is that cold press is 100% pure, it is organic. So it's like there is no additives added into it. Okay, so it's like we have a pitching honey machine. The grain grows into it, so seed goes into it, and the oil comes like this. So it's so pure. So I think it's like as good as removing your own oil at home. So you are not having any preservatives in it, and it is chemical free and not heat treated. This is another very important thing. What people don't understand is that when the oil goes through heat treatment, it's like you heat it too much, the nutrient value is lost. So this oil has all the nutrients preserved in it because it is through cold press. That's why it is called cold press. So the whole funda of cold press is that you don't use heat. So it is like, the machine operates it, but there is no heat generated. So the ghani just removes oil at normal room temperature.
Fine. So if I'm in a supermarket, so I think 90% of the oils will not be cold pressed, will not be unrefined. So there was a gap in the market which you had noticed.
Yes.
So can you go back to the instance where you felt that this particular thing is missing? Now, as a doctor, you know the products that are available off the shelf. So when did you realize that this particular segment is missing and I need to do something about it? So were you tired of using those refined oils, or what was that tipping point?
Okay, the tipping point was, as I mentioned, that I have put on a lot of weight. So I was trying to lose weight. I consulted some dietitians and following to the nutrition, the diet and everything, and then still I was not losing weight. So that is when I realized, where am I going wrong? Okay, in spite of eating less, in spite of eating healthy, still why things are not happening for me. And that is when I read a lot, and I also visited a lot of supermarkets and a lot of friends who are living abroad being doctors. And I spoke to a lot of doctors who are into wellness and health. They told me that in India, there is a lot of things of refined. We eat a lot of refined stuff. And that is when I, realized the biggest culprit is the oil. And also, if you see the marketing gimmicks, I'm not against any company, but the marketing gimmicks, the ads are so much. It's not that they are bad, but then the processing with how which that oil is made. Now, anything when it is done in excess, it harms you. So this oil, when it is used in our food, and we all add so much, that it is actually nothing but poison we are eating with zero nutrition value. So I felt that this market is not there in India at all. So being a doctor, even I myself was not aware 2.5 years back. If you asked me 2 years back, even I was using the same oils, which probably still everybody is using. And that was a changing point to understand that yes, we need to create the awareness that people should change their cooking oils, because when you change that, what you're intaking, what you're putting into your body is something which is more pure, and you're not adding something which is processed.
Okay. So me, for a fact, I learned very recently that refined is a bad word. There's something called cold pressed, which normal public might not be aware. Okay, so that is about our refined versus cold pressed. Now you, in the field of medicine, you realize that there is the gap, you need to do this. Now, the business knowledge for a medicine, that is the vertical of medicine into business. Now, did it haunt you to make that transition? Did it weigh on you, or it was a smooth transition? Like I have heard in India, being an entrepreneur myself, that India particularly is known for very slow process, like from point A to point B. Recently, it has improved a lot. So did you face any hurdles which are like red tape to go from one vertical into another, or was it a smooth transition?
Okay, so I think the changing point for me to start this business was the COVID-19 pandemic, honestly, because
Okay.
I started consulting online more and I was more at home. And one of my daughters is doing medicine, and the second one is doing business management from UBC Sordom. So she's a business student.
Okay.
And she was the one who was like, I want to do a startup, I want to do a business. So the main motivating factor here were actually my daughters. And that is how actually, if you see the name is also Triaco, which is a combination of both my daughters. This is Trisha and this is Adya. And that
Okay.
is how the name has also emerged. So
Okay.
this is something which I thought that, would motivate them, that there is a company on their name. So this actually idea of starting a startup was of my daughter. And she put a lot of energy into it, and she came up with different ideas. So this was not the first idea, being very honest. There were a lot of ideas which were brainstormed. And we as a family, thought that we should do this because this is something which awareness is not there at all. So my husband was the main supporting factor in helping us support the financial part of it, and also, the whole, because he's a businessman himself. So maybe my motivation to do this came because my husband is already having a business and he has experience of the last 25 years. So I think somewhere that backup, where somebody is there to tell you that, okay, yes, we are there, and, when you are together, so probably I think, anything which you do together grows faster.
Definitely.
So, we together actually have done this. We have spent hours and hours researching, hours and hours understanding the product, understanding what should be the packaging and how should we be telling it. So I think it's a combined family effort, which I would put it as. But yes, being a doctor, I wanted to always do something beyond medicine. That was something which, I felt that, okay, we have only one life. We should do something, and we should do something which is different.
Right.
And I used to read, my sister's an entrepreneur, you know her very well. So I felt that, if everybody can do it, why can't I do it? And I think the most important motivation is that your mind only restricts you. So you have to tell that I can do everything. Whatever you think you want to possibly do it, you can do it. So there are a lot of hurdles. Since you asked me about the hurdles, so there were days when I used to feel, oh my God, I'm already so busy, I think I don't have time.
Right.
Then there were days that, oh, there's a lot of money going on. Then there were days that, oh, what if people don't change? Okay, what if nobody buys my products?
Right.
There are days when you actually think.
Right.
Like the last 2 days also I was just thinking, I'm like, oh, what if I don't get enough orders to even cross even?
Right.
There might be a possibility that I might not even break even.
Sure.
But when your intention is there, what I feel is, for any startup, the most important thing is your intention.
Right.
Yes, everybody wants to earn money, everybody wants to become big, but your intention has to be right. And my intention is to put forward to people to get better health,
Right.
get with better products in their life. Okay, so most important is creating this awareness of cold pressed oils and having the healthiest option possible in your diet.
True.
So I think my intention is very right, and I think I'm already doing excellent. Touch wood. I think we have made so many hampers in Diwali, and we have done so much of already sales in like this in 1 month. We started on 7th November, so it's less than a month.
True.
And I'm so amazed with the response, and people are actually calling up and messaging that, oh, we also want it. I had to keep more staff, which I didn't expect. I had to keep more staff to actually do my packaging.
So, in fact, you're at an infancy stage if you go to see. So, just you can say 1.5 months, but the name, the buzz has been so prominent. And I think that reflects the fact that if the intention is pure, it doesn't take time to scale up. Now, most of the startups, they take a lot of time to scale up, and in retrospect people understand that the intention was not that pure. But if the intention is pure, in this case it was your health. I think health is something that everyone holds dear to them, and I think it's just a message which needs to go across. And I was so happy that within a short span, we are not even a quarter old, and most of the people that I spoke to are already aware that there is something, where 6 months back no one was aware. I think even the idea was not with the seed, and the transition has been exponential. So in this short span of time, if you could change one thing, or if you think that this one thing could have been done better, or one thing that you might need to tell the future entrepreneurs, that while starting up, there's one thing you need to definitely avoid and which you fell into the trap of. Is there anything that you have encountered?
To be very honest with you, yes. I think I and my husband had a lot of differences during this. So, when you're a team work, so there are disadvantages of also being a team work.
Okay.
So, I think that could have been avoided. I feel now, when retrospectively I look back, now when the final product is there, we are very happy. But yeah, so when we were debating on, what the packaging should be, how it should be, what we should be doing. So, we had a lot of, so I would say it was difference of opinion. So, I think my most important thing which I felt, which could have been avoided and which probably delayed the whole thing another 2 months was a lot of difference of opinion. Because I felt that, he has his existing business, I have my existing profession and we are doing this. So initially my thought process was that, probably we won't be able to match up and we won't be able to do it. So which I was wrong, and we probably said that, we can do it. So, there are so many people who can do multiple things. So even though you are multitasking, if your mind is in the right place and if you are investing proper time in every business, you can do it. So I think this is what I learned the hard way. But yeah, I think most important, even if you have any idea startup, I think most important is to go ahead. Trust yourself. If you don't trust yourself, you'll never go ahead. That's the most important message.
Right. And this is one burning question. And this question is very prominent in India, where the idea is, if you have crossed a certain age, then startup is not for you. As opposed to other countries where startup can be done at any age. In India, there is a rigid mindset that if you are young, if you are a bachelor, only then you can do a startup, or else you have missed the bus. Now, you are the prime example of complete opposition to that. So, do you think age is a factor? Do you think the stage of your life is a factor? Or do you think that idea is independent of age?
Okay, so personally, I feel that any idea is independent of age. Age is only numbers, which is it's a mental block which we have that I'm old or I'm young. No. Anybody can do anything if you decide that you want to do it. I feel so. So yeah, so when I started also, a lot of people told me that why do you need to do it? You're already doing so well in your practice. Right. You enjoy life, you have a lot of money, you have a home, you don't have to struggle. Why do you not want to do it? Right. But it's not about that. It's about doing something for yourself because you want to do it. So age is not a factor. In fact, because my daughter wanted to do it, people, she's too young. So what if she's too young? Right. So what if she's not a graduate yet? She's still a student. So I think anybody can do it and everybody can do it if you decide that you want to do it. But yes, in India there is a lot of bias. There's a lot of mental blockage and people block you or there is no need to do this. No, your mind should be your own limits. Set your own limits. Dream big and dream in the way which you think you want to go. Hurdles will keep coming. People will keep saying when we are walking, dogs keep barking on the road. That doesn't mean that you will stop walking. So you have to say that, okay, I will not get influenced by what people say. I will not get disheartened by the hurdles, but I am going to do it. So at this age also, I feel that, it's good. And I know of people who have done it in 60s and 70s also. Right. So I still feel that this is early for me. I don't mind doing something new at the age of 65 also.
That's true. That's true. So if you are out there and if you think you have missed the bus, it's not true. If you have an idea, you can always take it ahead. And coming to my next question is, you're juggling many things and you're wearing many hats. When you get up in the morning, what is that one thing that makes you like, okay, let's conquer the day? That one thing that keeps you on your toes?
Since health is the most important priority, I have realized that, morning doing my yoga, initially, giving that 15-20 minutes of myself, and, telling myself that yes, this is my day and I want to plan my day and relaxing my body. See, most important thing what people don't realize is that your body, God has given us this body. We are today, our body carries us everywhere, right? And our body, if it doesn't support us, you are nobody. Right. You can't do any startup or you can't do any business if your body is not going to support you. True. So the most important thing is spending time with your body, understanding your body, listening to your body and giving your body the right fitness exercise which it needs, whatever be your form. So I think in the morning doing that is my recharge for the day, which helps me understand that I want to do things, and that gives clarity to my mind. And once I have clarity to my mind, I know how I need to plan my day. And I know that I have enough time, because when you wake up early, you have enough time to plan your day and you have enough time to do everything what you do.
Okay. And with this, you are right now with a certain section, your long-term vision with this product, say 10 years down the line, 20 years. So you think it should be limited to this, or you have a bigger vision for this product?
have a bigger vision. So right now we have come up with a range of cold pressed oils. So we have the range of different cooking oils. We have mustard oil, white sesame oil, peanut oil, coconut oil, and we have even black roasted sesame oil. So these are the different oils which we have right now in our cooking range. And we also have a range of pure A2 cow ghee which is ready right now.
Okay.
So since my husband is a Jain, we get this ghee from his Maharashtra because they follow the Ahimsa philosophy, Jainism. So in that, what they say is that we don't want to harm any animals. We don't want to, harm the cows. So these cows are not being given any injections. They are not being given any pesticides or hormones. They naturally give birth, and that milk which is coming, we produce ghee from this. So this is an extremely pure version of ghee. So they say in Ayurveda also that ghee is the most important part. I think most of the dietitians, we all know, we Indians love ghee, right? We can't eat rotis without ghee. So the more pure the ghee, it lubricates your joints, okay? It gives the right nutrient which your body needs, and it increases your metabolism, which also helps to reduce weight. So the kind of ghee also you eat matters a lot. So right now our range of cold pressed oils and ghee is ready. Next we are going to come up with a range of cold pressed snacks. So everybody loves snacks, right? You eat nashtas and khakras and all that. So we are planning to have, because that is a palm oil. So we are planning to have a complete range of cold pressed nashtas. Then we are going to have cold pressed khakras, bhakuris, those kind of, when you're traveling and all, you eat the healthier version rather than eating the unhealthier version. Also, we are going to come up with a lot of hemp seed oil and Vigela seed oil, which can be used for skin and hair. So the beauty line also we are going to come, which are going to be absolutely cold pressed again. So we have a huge vision. So probably we are going to keep adding and more products and into our range. But yes, the whole idea is going to stay that it is going to be 100% pure and 100% organic.
Okay. And suppose if I want to get a hold of this bottle, what are the avenues in which I can purchase, or whom do I reach out to?
Okay. So, to be very honest with you, since it's been less than a month, my website is in construction. So, my website will be up very soon. And right now, we have the possibility of ordering through WhatsApp, ordering through phone call, or ordering on Instagram also. And the website will be put up very soon. And we are delivering all over India right now. So, there is no restriction on, if you're not here, you're not here. So, we have that service set and ready. So, and what we also do is we don't keep too much oil ready. So, once I get it, we remove it and we send it. So as pure as that. So it's kind of, maybe it might take a couple of days to reach, but your oil will be like the last oil which was removed and sent across to you. I don't like stacking up oils because the only disadvantage, Neeraj, of these oils is because they are 100% pure. We don't have any preservatives and additives. The shelf life is 6 to 9 months. Okay. So we have to consume this within 6 to 9 months. So I tell everybody that in India earlier also the concept was that they used to put pura masalas and ghees and oils of the entire year and keep it. So I suggest for these people that don't do that. But yes, whenever you need the order, you can just let us know. The courier will reach to you in 40 minutes. So
pan India, you're delivering right now.
Yes.
Okay, that is very good. And since you're in the medical field as well, and there's a big question for medical students, that is, after 12th, shall we do medical in India, that is MBBS, or shall we go outside? And as you know, the breed of doctors that are coming up is a lot more than before. People are interested in the field, and the fields that have diverged into so many different fields. With that, the students right now are like, India is not the right place to do medicine. So is that a right notion, or is it a misconception? Or if I get my degree from somewhere outside India, will it be a better degree it'll make more business sense, or you think it is a false statement?
So I think I should be able to answer this question very well, because as I mentioned, my second daughter is doing medicine, so she is going to get her first year final exams right now. So I had done this lot of research and a lot of debate at that point to understand that what is good. Now I feel if you want to learn medicine, learn on patients, India is the right place, because the amount of population we have, and the kind of diseases which we see. A lot of countries, they don't have that much of patient coming in, patient load, because the diseases are different. And in our country, we see a lot of typhoid and dengue and malaria, which you probably might not see somewhere else. In India, we have tuberculosis. In US, tuberculosis has been eradicated years back. So you see different set of diseases. So I would not say one is good and one is bad, but yes, India is definitely a place to learn medicine because you have a lot of patient exposure. Because in the government hospitals and also in fact most of the private hospitals, the patient load is very high because of the extra population which we have, and that definitely gives you as a doctor more practical experience. Because what I feel is medicine is not something which can be learned on the internet in online classes, right? Medicine is something which you only see. You know, your eyes remember what you see, your mind knows what you see. If I have seen a particular case, I will remember all my life because I have seen it. If I have not seen it, I will forget it. So I feel that to learn medicine, India is an excellent place. Yes, you want to get expertise and you want to get finesse and you want to go for specialization to a different country, and then you choose which country you want to settle down. That's a different story. Now, in India, government hospitals and private hospitals are excellent, but the only problem of going abroad, what I feel is that the level of amount of money which the parents needs to spend is extremely high. So if you think countries like UK, US, Australia, these countries' MBBS cost is very, very high, and that is only an MBBS cost, and plus your living cost. So if you have your own home here, India is always cheaper in terms of living, in terms of food. It's not easy for us to adopt to a different food immediately. And if you want to later go after MBBS, you can definitely go. So there is no harm in going later. If you are good, you get in very well. But if you are not good, then first only if you are going to go there, I think you will never be able to come back to your country. And what happens is the way they teach medicine and the way we learn medicine also is completely different. Like UK has a different way of teaching, US has a different way of teaching, India has a different way of teaching. So there are all mixed opinions, and I'm sure as medical student, everybody is getting confused. What should I do? But yeah, I feel stick to your roots. Okay, if you have a chance. If you don't get in here and if you think that no, that is a better option for me, I want to do that. But learning, okay, is something which you have to learn with patience, which only India does.
Okay, but if I'm an MBBS from India, now, if I want to go to the US, will my MBBS be valid?
It is recognized, but you have to clear an entry exam, which is called USMLE. Okay. So there is this is a series of 3 exams, step 1, step 2, step 3, which you have to clear for your MBBS to be accepted there. So it's like a worldwide same exam. So every student coming from any country, if they want to practice in the US, they will have to give that exam.
Okay.
And then they can pursue their post graduation in US. Now the only thing is the passing percentage of USMLE is very, very high. So I mean very, very low. So it's like 3 to 4% only students get selected. It's a tough exam. So people do find it tough. But if you're clear in your mind that you want to go, you can start preparing from very early stages. Probably from your second MBBS only you start preparing. It makes it very easy. Now, I know people who have gone for MBBS to US and come back saying that because you have to do pre-med. Okay. Yeah, so you have to do 2 years extra, which is like your 11th, 12th year. Right. So you waste 2 years if you think of US as an MBBS option, which I think is not worth it. You might as well after MBBS take a gap of 1 year and prepare for your USMLE rather than taking up 2 years and you're spending so much, staying in that country for 2 years. And they have zero patient experience. I feel most of the hospitals, some of them have good ones, but again to get into that, so the people who are US citizens and the people, who are probably they will be over there. So the kind of it's like, I tell you that engineering is done in India in how many colleges, right? But what IIT teaches you, probably all engineering colleges don't teach you. Right. So there are a lot of diploma engineering colleges also which probably don't teach you. So it's just a namesake degree. Right. So I feel that which university you are going is more important, be it anywhere in the world. Your college matters. Okay, the kind of place you are in that matters, and your mindset matters, whether you want to learn or whether you don't want to learn. But yes, you can be successful anywhere. It's not that they are bad and we are good, but I personally feel that India is a better place to live.
Okay, so this is a business which is flourishing very well. So the philanthropy part of it. So do you plan to give something back to society, or that is not an agenda for now?
To be very honest with you, being a doctor, we believe in philanthropy a lot. Right. Okay, we always for all these years, I have been treating tours for free and doing camps and stuff like that. So I think that is probably, which was told to me by my sir, that the more you give, the more you get. Right. So that has been my principle of life always. Yes, but with this company, we have a very special intention of starting this company. So, to be very honest, going on with it, on the personal side, this is my second marriage with Jinesh, and Jignesh's first wife was a heart patient, and she lost her life at a very young age. And when we met, he had asked me that you are a doctor, so do you think we can do something together in her memory to help the society and give the treatment to people which probably she did not get.
Okay.
So since she had a heart thing and she was due for a heart transplant, but unfortunately before she could get a donor, she couldn't make it. So we have decided that some percentage of our profits is going to go for heart patients of pediatrics, since I'm a pediatrician. So we are going to have the children suffering from heart disease, we are going to help them. And it is going to be, because I'm a doctor, because I know people, I know where, how is it going to go.
Right.
I don't believe in, just opening an NGO and telling people, okay, you pay me money and give it, because I feel that there is no transparency in that.
Right.
So this is our way of, helping. And there are a lot of children who have lost their lives because of heart diseases, because they have not been able to afford the surgeries.
True.
So we are going to help those babies.
Okay. So that's a very noble cause. So related to heart. And I think that will flourish into more and more fields.
Also, the name of the foundation which we have registered is Atilment Foundation, which is the reverse of Namrata. Her name was Namrata.
Okay.
So the name is Atilment Foundation. So that is her name in reverse.
Okay. So I think I can wish you a lot of success on that aspect.
Thank you, sir.
And our next segment is a casual segment in which I'll be asking you a few questions and you have to answer in a very candid way.
Okay.
And whatever comes to your mind first. Okay. So, and this is to know the brain of an entrepreneur, how they think and what they think. Okay, because brain mapping is supposed to be one of the most complex sciences, because everyone wants to know how an entrepreneur thinks. So these are some questions which the viewers might think that, okay, these are the aspects how Dr. Zeenal thinks. Okay. So the first thing I'll ask you is, how many days do you think you can live without the internet? Or how important internet is to you today?
So it depends. If I'm in my work, internet is very important because that is how I build up my business.
Okay.
So I need social media and I need internet for my work. But if I'm on a holiday, if I want to detox, then I can live without it.
Okay. So say today, right now, from now, you need internet or you don't need 1 day, 2 days?
Okay, 2 days a week not having it.
2 days a week not having internet. Okay. My next question is, if you are given, say, 10 crores versus if you are told that you could go 10 years back in time, what would you select?
10 crores.
10 crores. So, time versus money. So, money is an important factor there.
I can invest that money and grow money for me in the short span, right? So, I can smart investment with that.
Okay. So, 10 crores over 10 years. Okay. What is the first thing that you notice in a person?
Smile.
Smile. Okay.
Like, how is the appearance? Is the person looking happy? Because some people are very sulky and sad.
Okay, so the positive vibe. Okay. And are you a tea person or a coffee person, or like a doctor? People say excessive tea is not good, excessive coffee is not good, but do you believe in that?
Yes, anything in excess is not good. So very important is the balance. I need that one morning cup of chai, which has got of masala and ginger and mint and all quality, which is more like a medicinal value rather than anything. So it depends on how much is too much for anybody, right? So too much of tea coffee is not good because you're giving external stimulation to your body. So it's not good for anybody. So 2 cups a day is max one should have in it, not one.
Okay. And are you a night person or a morning person? So, if you're told to wake up, like for me, for example, I think many of my viewers also, staying up till 4 is much more easier than getting up at 4. So, you belong to that category, or you feel that I can sleep early and get up early?
I prefer sleeping early and getting up early. I would love to sleep at 10 and wake up at 6. That is my schedule. But yeah, I know what you mean because I know my daughters are like that. They are a lot of night people. I think today's generation people have become like that because they feel that at night they can work much more than what they can do in the daytime because there is a lot of peace in the house. There's not much of activity happening and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay.
But maybe I'm a little old school of thought.
Well, there are many, like in fact, when you read the books, most of the successful entrepreneurs, they start their day early as opposed to night owls.
Yes.
But I think in India especially, most of the thinking happens at night. So there are two different schools of thought. Okay. And my last...
Research says, sorry, I interrupted you. that the brain development, and see our body is working the entire day, right? So there is something called as reparative phase of the body. Reparative phase means our body needs to heal itself.
Right.
That happens between 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. So in fact, I tell everybody, I tell for children also, if you see small children, small babies everywhere in the world, people make the baby sleep at what time? 8 o'clock, 7:30. Whereas the people sleep so early, the dinner time is 6 o'clock and they sleep by 7:30.
Right.
So why? Because the body can heal best at between 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. So actually, if you want your body to heal faster, and if you don't want more of diseases, and you don't want to be a sick person when you're 40s and 50s, better is to sleep early.
Okay. And the next question is, does weight indicate health? Or many times you see a heavy person might be completely healthy. So, but in India especially, you have that notion that obese person or a fat person might not necessarily be healthy. So do you think there is a correlation between your weight and your health?
So they are two completely different things. So
Right.
what is health? Health is your physical, mental, spiritual and your emotional well-being. So it is your well-being on all aspects. Okay.
Right.
So if you are happy on all the grounds, you are peaceful within yourself, you are doing good in your life, on your personal front, on your professional front, then you are probably a healthy person. So it is about being healthy. Now, what India people relate health is only diseases and weight.
Right.
So people might say, "Acha, isko diabetes hai ya nahi?" No, it's not that. So a person with a diabetic also, even if though he's a diabetic, can be a healthy person. Okay, and a person who is obese or little on the overweight can also be a healthy person, because weight is a combination of your fat percentage and your muscle mass. So your weight is not important. I tell everybody that when you want to lose weight also, or weight, don't go on your weight. Weight is only numbers. Never people have this crazy fantasy of going on the weight scale again and again, which is not worth it. So your body fat percentage, so how much fat you are having in your body, is more important than actually your weight. So not many people know this.
Right.
So the dietitians or the doctors will tell you to get your body analysis done. So in your body analysis, you come to know. Now our private organs, have a lot of fat around them. Like your liver has fat around it, your spleen will have fat around it. So how much visceral fat you have, actually that decides whether you are healthy or whether you are not. So it's not only weight. So that is a complete myth that weight decides that that person is healthy or unhealthy. There are a lot of thin people also who might have coronary blockages.
Right.
So I think we stop looking at the weight. That is not important at all. Focus on the overall health. Focus on the overall lifestyle. Are you sleeping enough? Are you exercising enough? Are you eating healthy? Are you eating right? I think more than anything, it is about eating right. Okay, a lot of people will just reach out to a packet of chips or reach out to McDonald's and KFC and not think that mera to khana ho gaya. So I think that street food and the fast food has probably completely corrupted our brains by we stop eating fruits and vegetables and healthy stuff. So even healthy food can be tasty. There's again a myth that healthy khana hai to dietitian ne bola hai salad hai to it's not healthy. No. So even healthy food can be tasty. So you need to figure out what mindful eating you are doing.
And my last question, and I think even I have been a culprit and a victim as well. With all these diets, like you have something called keto, and you have something called intermittent fasting, and you have something called the GM diet. There's something called fruit only diet. Now, is it effective or is it like a fad?
I would not say it is a fad, but to be very honest with you, diet. What is diet? We live for food, right? We all need food. Accept it. We all need food. What we are putting into our body decides our health and decides our overall well-being. So we are what you eat. There is a very beautiful saying. You are what you eat.
Right.
So today what we eat decides how we are going to be. So eating right is important, not dieting. Okay? Dieting means people have this misconception that dieting means kam khana hai ya khali salad khana,
Right.
which is wrong. So eating right, doing mindful eating, and doing portion eating, you can be a healthy person. So I tell everybody, ask only one question, that today if I give you a diet, will you be able to sustain this for life? If you think you can sustain it for life, you do it. Otherwise, please don't do it. It is only going to waste your time, energy, money, and you're going to get stressed. Because when you follow a diet, you're always, so your mind is going too much, you are restraining your thought processes, which doesn't happen. Food should be your nutrition and food should be your medicine. You should enjoy food. So food should be for your enjoyment and for your well-being. The moment you realize this, that my food is going to decide how healthy I am, okay, you will automatically choose right. So choosing right is what is more important. So it's like I think we have posted a very beautiful thing on our Insta on the same thing. That will you choose French fries or you choose broccoli salad? Because majority of the people will choose French fries. So this is just the choices what we make. So an example of right choices and mindful eating is important. Now keto is something which is going on as a fad, but as a doctor we do not recommend it because it has lot of after effects on the liver and cholesterol and any other diets also. As I said, that you can do it for maybe a month or 3 months or 6 months. After that you will miss your pizza, then you will miss your food and you will say, I can't do this, I need to eat my food. So you need to do something which you can sustain it. And once in a while, if you eat a pizza or you eat something on the street, if we all love chaat, right? It's no crime. Don't treat your body, don't take your body into that guilt trip or don't take your mind into that, body shaming kind of thing. No.
Okay.
So emotions, again, makes you gain weight, which people don't realize. So, enjoy your food for your well-being and understand what you need to eat and what you don't need to eat and you are good for life.
Okay. So with that, we come to the end of our session. So I thank Dr. Zeenal once again. And for all of you out there, if you want to get hold of this, I have pasted the links of the Instagram plus the website. You can DM them, and for further details, either you can DM me or leave your comments. And I hope you enjoyed this and it was as informative as I found it. So thanks a lot, everyone.